Hi, I'm Craig Rowland from Sandfly Security. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to use Sandfly's agentless Linux security platform to investigate a group of Linux systems, one of which was compromised, and then a stolen SSH credential was obtained and used to spread across the remaining systems. Sandfly is an agentless product, which means you don't need to deploy any permanently running agents on your endpoints. You simply point us at your fleet of Linux systems and we'll begin to investigate. For today's scenario, we're going to go to our dashboard, and we see immediately that we have 10 alerts given on one or more of our hosts. Clicking on that button here, we see that we have a system here that's showing 10 different alerts. And these 10 alerts are what we at Sandfly call an alert stack. Usually they're related to a single compromise incident, but they're broken out as an alert stack because when attackers get onto a host, instead of just causing one attack signature to fire, they'll often fire off a group of signatures as they begin to set up presence on that system and cause various trouble. In this particular system here, we see a few things that are going on. First of all, we found some private keys hiding out in user home directories, which we'll talk about in a bit. We found a process running with a hidden name, and we can see over here it's called .systemd, a process masquerading as netcat, a process with a listening TCP port, a process running from a dev directory, a deleted process with TCP, and in general, a deleted process. And again, these all relate to the same attack. Clicking on any one of these would give you information about what the attack actually is. For this situation here, to not dive into it too deeply today, we're going to show you simply that there's a process that's running as netcat, but it's not using the netcat name. In other words, someone has renamed the built-in netcat binary to try to hide what's going on. On this system here, during the compromise, they renamed it to .systemd, so they're trying to hide it. You can see the process command line. You can see the full path. You can also see the process cryptographic hashes, and by clicking on any one of these, we would show you other systems that were running that process as well. For today's demonstration, this process backdoor has only been seen on one system so far, which is fine. But we do see something here of particular interest, and that is that we have some private keys that were found in these user home directories all of a sudden, which is very unusual activity. Now, this could either be a legitimate key that a user left behind by accident, which is very common, by the way, or it could be the attacker generated a private key in order to use it to spread throughout the systems. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to our SSH Hunter. The SSH Hunter is a unique feature in our product because the way Sandfly works is we attack the problem of Linux security in two different ways. First of all, we look for what we call active attacks, which are things that are in memory right now, processes that are running. This is very typical of most EDR solutions. But the other thing we do, which is very unique, is we focus on what we call a dormant attack. A dormant attack is something that's happened or is happening to that Linux system right now, but it's not necessarily in memory, and it could be something that's completely missed. Stolen SSH credentials are a great demonstration of what we call a dormant attack. It's just a text that's sitting in an authorized key file. It's not in RAM, but that means that the attacker can now move between these systems very silently and quickly without you typically knowing about it. The way the SSH Hunter works into this whole situation is we catalog, monitor, and audit all the SSH keys that we find. We'll tell you when we saw them, when we last saw them, how many users are using it, how many hosts are on, and so on. Going here to our basic key view, we see kind of how this operates. First of all, we have these two keys here, which are currently active. And then we have these keys that are grayed out. These are keys that were active at one time, but we currently don't see on any host. Now, if these keys show up again, they'll flip back over to the active state. But what this means is that if you have old, stale, orphan keys or keys that have been banned that you don't want around anymore, if those keys come back, we're going to start showing you that those keys are there. But for today's demonstration, we're going to focus on two keys in particular. First of all, we have this key, which we could see here. It's attached to that one host of the alert. It has one active user, and last time we saw it was 32 minutes ago. We also have the key explorer, which I'll demonstrate here in a moment. And we have what we call a key timeline. The key timeline shows you the first time we saw that key and how many hosts we saw it on. For these systems here, they were spun up in the cloud provider, and they all showed up at the exact same time with 10 hosts. And you can see here that they all showed up with the root user, which is fairly common, but you can have other users as well. And again, these are all the host names that we've seen that key on. That's all well and good. But the other thing, though, that's very interesting here is we have this other key. And you'll see here we use this friendly name that's derived from the key hash, so it's something easy for you to remember. We're going to click on that key, and we see something here really interesting. It's got two active users. We saw it at about the same time. We're going to go here through our key explorer, and we saw it on one host, and then immediately it stepped up to 10 other hosts. This is a classic sign that this key has probably been used to spread to these other systems. If they had a root user private key, you could write a script very quickly to start scanning the other systems that are available and inserting a new key. And that is actually what happened here. A script was used to automatically insert this key across all the Linux systems instantaneously, and that's why we're seeing this stair-step approach showing up. Finally, over here, again, we have the hosts and we have the users, but this time we have this unusual user here that's just called system. So we're going to click on that. That's going to take us to our user investigator through the key view. And again, I'm going to go full screen here to kind of show you how this works. First of all, we have this user called system. We see that they have one key called finance operative ceramic. We're going to click on here and it's going to show us basically that one key is on these 10 hosts. We also have the same view over on this side here, so we can view it by hosts and then we can view it by key. And if you want to see this in expanded view, we go all the way here and I'll tell you what this means. The blue box is basically the user. The brown boxes here are the hosts. The green ones here are the keys associated with it. So what we're showing here is that the user system is on these 10 hosts using the same key. The other way to view this information is to go to our user view. The user view is basically the flip side of the key view. The key shows you how many users are using that key. The user view is showing you how many users have keys on various hosts. So here again, we have our suspicious user over here called system, and there's a couple of different things you can do here. First of all, you can use our presets to show you all users seen in the last 24, 48, 72 hours. But you can also build a filter here with various attributes about a key, so you can show keys that happen during a certain time frame, keys that happen before a certain date, after a certain date, all the hosts that have the keys, even the key types if you're looking for keys that you might not want around anymore. But again, clicking on the system user here, we see the same thing. We're in our user investigator now. We can see that this user has keys on various hosts. And again, we see something here really interesting. Again, that key showing up and that user showing up, all of a sudden they were at one host, then bam, they show up on 10 hosts instantaneously. And again, I'm going to show you all the hosts that have that user on it. By clicking on it for that host, what we're going to show you is basically their SSH authorized key entry file. So what this view is allowing us to see here is very quickly this user called system, which is a very suspicious name in and of itself. They have this following key entry in their home authorized key file. Again, you can get the full path to it. You can see other information about the time it was created. We can also go and view the host details very quickly as well. And that takes us down to our host investigator view. The host investigator view is going to allow us to see this host, and again, we can see the information such as there's one user on it and all of a sudden 2 users showed up. And coming down here again, we're going to see a full view of all the users with keys. We see the root user has 2 keys on it. We see the system user also has only 1 key on it, but you'll see here's something very interesting. The friendly name Finance Operative Ceramics is also showing up here inside the root user. So what this means is that the root user on this box has this 1 key called Amigo Smartly Emptier, but also someone has likely added a new key to it, and that key also happens to be the same key the system user is using, which is again very suspicious of itself. As you're poking around the SSH Hunter, we have some other really cool features as well. If I'm actively investigating a key, I can add it here to my key stash. My key stash is going to allow me to quickly go back to that key. This is really handy, for instance, if you're investigating a particular box and you say here that, there's a process here with a deleted network port listening. I can see all over here. I can see that this system here is obviously one of interest. I can quickly click back to the key stash. It's going to take me right back to the key, and I can dig into it again in terms of the full hosts and what hosts might be using it. And I can, again, here can expand out the hosts. I can see what hosts here. That was Sandfly Security 1. I could click on here. I click on that Sandfly Security host. I see it has 2 active users. And again, there's our suspicious user system, and there's our suspicious, our other non-suspicious root user that's on the box. So what we've been able to do here through this whole demonstration is basically quickly find a host that has a series of alerts, get an alert that an SSH key is likely in play in terms of being stolen credentials. We were able to go to the SSH key hunter, get a list of all the keys that are available, and see ones that in particular that stand out. By clicking on one of these keys, we were able to see all the hosts that had the keys on it. We could also see here the stair steps showing that the timeline is indicating that key spread very rapidly all of a sudden through all my Linux systems. And I was able to very quickly identify what users might be using that host. In this case here, this new user called System showed up on 10 hosts almost simultaneously. And that is going to allow us to quickly use Sandfly's agentless Linux security platform to rapidly investigate a group of Linux systems and help you deal with a lateral movement attack that might be happening. So if you have any further questions about Sandfly, please check out our website. We're happy to get you a full license to allow you to try out the SSH Hunter, as well as there's a free 500 host license that gives you most of the features of the product in terms of detecting attacks as well. So I'm Craig Rowland from Sandfly Security. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out our YouTube channel and subscribe, as we'll be posting more videos on Linux forensics and investigation along the way. Thanks again. Goodbye.